Assalamu alaikum. Today in this lesson we are going to present IGCSE English as a second language exercise 6. In exercise 6 you are usually presented with three types of exercise, that is article writing, reviews and report writing. Article writing and report writing is both semi-formal and formal, whereas review is informal. So in this lesson we will be going ahead with report writing, that is in formal writing manner. So before we proceed with the lesson further, let's have a look at a video which will highlight what is a report structure, what is the format, and you will be presented with a sample report that will guide you through the language structure. So let's have a look at the report writing.
In this video, we will look at how to write a report. For this exam, you could be asked to describe such things as a recent school trip or an organized school event. For this video, we will look at a report about a work placement day. The main purpose of a report is to provide recommendations or updates. Therefore, your report will be a mixture of facts and opinions. Reports generally follow a more formal register, as it is most likely written for a teacher. You need to make the report clear so the reader knows why they are reading it. Thinking about the reader and what they need to know will help you improve your report. A typical report should follow the structure outlined below: a title, content list, summary, introduction, body of the report, conclusion, recommendations, appendices, and lastly, the bibliography. However, shorter reports like the one for this exam do not need all the sections, but they should include a title, an introduction, the body of the report, a conclusion, and a recommendation. Let's look at a task for Paper 1, Exercise 6. First, let's read through the question. Also, read the comments, as these may give you some ideas. The purpose is to write a report about the work placement day. In your report, write about what was learnt on the work placement day and make suggestions on how it could be improved. The comments may give some ideas. However, to achieve marks in the higher band, you need to develop your own thoughts and views on the topic. It is clearly stated that you need to write a report for your teacher, so the register should be formal. As you have to write a relatively short report of between 150 and 200 words, follow a 4-part structure. So let's write this report. First, we need to give it a title, like this. It should tell the reader exactly what the report is about. Next, add a subheading here to show organization and clarity. The introduction should give the reader the background to the report, why you are writing it. You should also include what the report will cover and how you got the information you have based it on. Here are some useful phrases that you can use in the introduction. Next, we add another subheading here and then write the main body of the report. This follows the points mentioned in the introduction. For this report, it will be about the skills that were learnt. You will mention the information gathered from the meeting that you had with your classmates. Make sure it is mainly factual and not based on opinions. Here I have included another skill and used relevant vocabulary that shows that I have a good understanding of the topic. Here are some useful phrases that you can use in the body of a report. Again, we write another subheading here to organize the text, and then we write our conclusion. This is where we give our opinions on the facts that we have discovered, such as the students found it a valuable experience and they were pleased to be given this opportunity. Remember that as you're writing to our teacher, these kinds of comments would be appropriate. Lastly, we write our recommendation. This is important as you have been asked by your teacher to suggest improvements. This you can include in the recommendation. You should also let the reader know what you predict will happen if the recommendation is followed. So here is the full report with approximately 210 words, which is slightly over the word count, but this is fine. As you can see, the title has been underlined. The subheadings show that the report is well organized. Here's my introduction, which mentions what will be in the report, followed by the learning experience, which is the body of the text. Then my conclusion, which gives opinions about the day, and at the end I have included my recommendation with a reason for it. So all in all, the report should be in the high band for both language and content. So remember, when you write a report, you should use a more formal tone and register. Don't stay too close to the prompts, but develop them and introduce your own ideas and views. Demonstrate your ability to persuade the reader and support your ideas and give examples. Don't forget to finish off your report with a conclusion and recommendation.
The video focuses on the main important parts of the report, which is a title, introduction, and then the main body, which is the findings, wrapped up by the limitations along with the recommendation. So now as we proceed with the lesson, the report will mainly focuses on specific phrases and expressions used for reporting accurately and giving objective opinions, which is not subjective, meaning you have to give formal factual information and making recommendations. So in order to write report writing, some general tips for formal writing is when writing formally, it is appropriate to include formal tone and register. You should not use the words and phrases that belong to the friendly register, and you should avoid slang words or phrases. This includes contractions, informal expressions such as idiomatic expressions, and other formal phrasal verbs which are considered casual. No humor, because topics are serious of the nature and factual. So personal styles should be avoided. It should be impersonal, and you should very much focus on the audience, because your audience is very important and you should keep the audience in your mind when you are writing. Mostly your report will be read by your teachers or your examiner, therefore it should be formal. Here is an example of an informal phrase which is converted to formal phrase. I felt the trip was a waste of time and a bit boring. So if we could convert it into a more formal manner, it will be written as the trip was found to be time consuming and could have been organized with interactive activities. Here, bit boring, waste of time, we have converted into a formal phrase such as the trip was found to be time consuming and could have been organized with interactive activities. So the noun phrases which is written in past tense is now more formal in comparison with the informal expression used. So I hope you have an idea of how you have to write formal expressions. Now here are some phrases that you could actually use for the introduction of formal reports. This slide contains some of the very important phrases that you could use for introduction of the report. Now we'll pause at this clip so you could note down some of the important phrases. As you can see, the aim of this report, or the report aims to highlight, or the report aims to investigate, the report aims to recommend. These are some of the formal phrases which indicates that this report is aiming to achieve some target based on an experience that you have come across, or an event or show that you have experienced or visited or went to. Okay. So in these phrases, in the introduction, there are three important W's that you have to address. That is what, when, where. What was the trip or the experience, when the trip or the experience went, and where the show or the trip took place. So once you address that component, your introduction will be complete. So now as we move along, when you move for your finding or the main component, main body of the report, you will see phrases for generalization. Here you could use significant number of students, almost all students, a vast majority of students. Again, these phrases are very important when you are compiling the main body or presenting the findings. So when we come across the findings, when we talk about findings or what you learn, you will learn a lot of things. For example, in a trip, you will learn many things, and you will also come across things that needs improvement. So when you are writing your main body of the report, you will be writing about the positive things and the negative things as well. Negative things which we usually refer to as the limitations of the report, which we will be including in the recommendation as conclusion. So first, when we highlight the findings, many students were captivated to see, or they were amazed to learn, or it was fascinating to see. So we'll pause at this slide so you can note down some of the important phrases that you can use to write about what you learned. So now, as we have discussed about what you have learned or what you have observed, we will finally move on to the things that need improvement in your opinion. So what you have experienced or what you have come across, when you want to write a report, you would be including recommendations in order to improve such trips or such shows or concept for the next year or the following year. So for that, you can write or include the limitations such as however, or use contrasting phrases like however, it was totally disappointing to see, or a large number of students found that it was time consuming, phrases such as these. But the important thing here is that you will be using these phrases to wrap up your conclusion along with recommendation. So here, when we take a look at the phrases for recommendation, we can use these phrases. I would recommend that perhaps we could also consider, or for the reasons I have mentioned, I highly recommend. Such phrases you can use in your report writing to use as a concluding phrase. So now here we can wrap up the whole report format. First, let's have a recall. By introduction, you can include the purpose and aim, followed by the main body with your findings and the limitations, and finally the recommendation, what you suggest to improve the limitation. Now some of the frequently asked questions are how many paragraphs. So as I said, around 4 to 5 paragraphs will be enough for report writing. And sometimes students ask what kind of, do we need to include subheadings, do we need to include headings? Headings are usually a part of report writing, but for IGCSE it is not compulsory to write headings, it is optional. If you want, you can write the headings and subheadings. Now, before we conclude, it's very important to know how you will be assessed. You will be assessed on your content and language, each 8 marks, a total of 16. So basically for the content, you will be judged for your relevance and development of ideas. So you need to have the appropriate register, address the important points, and when you are given 2 prompts in the question, you need to address those prompts and also try to think creatively out of the box, address those from different angles. Development of ideas, you have to show independence of thought, it has to be well organized, and you have to have a very good flow of language, and it has to be written in a proper tone, which is formal language. With this, we will wind up the lesson, and in order to assess yourself how much you have learned, it is a good idea for you to practice some of the past paper questions from Cambridge website, where you can download some of the past papers of May, June and October, November paper, which you will get some of the report writing questions. So hope you all understood the report writing task, and hope to meet you again with a different lesson. Thank you.